Embark on an epic journey in a land inhabited only by Pokemon. It's up to you to discover why you've been turned into a Pokemon, all the while trying to stop a Pokemon bent on halting time and plunging the world into darkness.
Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out to just go through my whole entire gaming library. It could be a game, could be a limited edition, could be a console. This is my one time out of the week to pick up something from my shelf to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about none other than Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness, and by extension, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, because I have both of these games and both of them are phenomenal. They're almost basically the same with some little differences between the two. Like literally you had over here Darkness, which was kind of equivalent to your Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and then like the enhanced kind of version with Explorers of Sky, which was equivalent to like your Pokemon Platinum. Essentially, you know, the core of the game is still the same though, but they did add some extra story beats in this one that kind of gave some overall wrap-ups and some conclusions to the original Darkness and also Time. Darkness and Time are basically like your Diamond and Pearl. I didn't have Time, but my brother had Time though, so by extension we had access, or I had access to all three of these different games though. But you know, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series though, this was my first and only jumping in point for the Mystery Dungeon series. And oh shoot, this story was just freaking incredible though. And I have a lot of stories to go ahead and talk about though, so let's go ahead and jump up in it though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Now, I remember as I was a young youth, I think I must have been somewhere around like the age, somewhere between 8 and 10, I guess. I remember seeing those commercials where it was like they were promoting Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and I was like, this is not one of your traditional games, you know, as you're going through and exploring through a region like Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. It's not like one of the spin-offs like the Pokemon Ranger series though, but this is another golden era spin-off right here where you started off as an actual, you know, human trainer, but you get turned into a Pokemon. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting though. However, instead of, you know, going around and capturing other Pokemon, since you're already a Pokemon, you're going through and exploring these different dungeons and looking for whether it be treasure, a missing person, you know, there's a lot of different things you could be looking for in these dungeons, but it typically used to be one of those two major things right there. And it's just interesting because even whenever you're trying to figure out who your character is going to be from the start, they ask you a whole bunch of random questions about your personality or like what would you do in certain kind of situations and stuff. And that actually determined what, you know, starter Pokemon you were actually going to be. And I remember because I knew, you know, you had a good, decent chance of having like the Kanto starters being one, or the Johto, or the Hoenn, or the Sinnoh starters. I think, you know, in terms of the Pokemon that were represented in this game, it was to Gen 4 at this given point though. And I really, you know, as much as I love my mascot, Charizard, I was like, I really want to get Charmander though. So I remember looking up the information and stuff in terms of the questionnaires on Cerebi.net. And I was like, I gotta answer the right questions in order to get this Charmander dude. And I managed to get him, thankfully, though. So, hey, I was like, I had to at least get that done. Now, in terms of my partner Pokemon, I was like, okay, I want something kind of newish from Gen 4. So I don't know how I landed on Turtwig, but that just happened to be the thing, though. So I think, if I remember right, my original crew, at least within Darkness, it was Charmander and Turtwig. I'm not entirely sure about Sky. I want to say I thought I got Charmander again, but I might have chose a different fire starter in this one and a different partner to shake things up. So I'm not, you know, can't fully remember the team I was running on in this game though, but I'm pretty sure I chose a fire starter, at least for myself within my Explorers of Sky run though. But you know, after you choose, you know, who you're going to be and stuff, then you get assigned to this one guild, which is kind of interesting. You hear about guilds and stuff, at least on a lot of shows, like you watch a bunch of anime and stuff. Yeah, you kind of know the concept of guilds. You have like some camaraderie with a whole bunch of different people that happen to work there though. You're kind of helping out the community and stuff. You get really close and attached to, you know, like the townspeople, because sometimes they'll have little troubles that pop up, or somebody's gone missing, or they need an item or something like that in order for, to help them out with something. It can be like a chore, a task, or help build a shop or something. So it's up to you to be able to satisfy all their different needs. Like they have like a community board, and they'll be able to put all of these different tasks up on there. So you will be assigned these jobs, and you will go out within these dungeons. Now these dungeons aren't necessarily straightforward, where they have certain set paths that you will get from point A to point B every single time. No, the dungeons are always randomized. So every time you'll go into a dungeon, you'll get a certain set amount of floors locked. However, every time you go through that dungeon, the layout is constantly changing and constantly evolving though. So you're trying to get from wherever you started from to the staircase as quickly as humanly possible, and then you kind of rinse, wash, and repeat until you work your way down to the lowest floor. That's typically how most of these mystery dungeons go though. Now, obviously when you're moving through them though, I mean, this is where the traditional Pokemon sense came into play. You were able to, go through, use certain moves. Like you had a basic attack where you can just kind of like hit them like a basic headbutt though. And then also you had your signature moves. Like if you were a Charmander like me, you have Flamethrower, which will literally shoot off flames like halfway across the dungeon and stuff. So you will fight different, random Pokemon along the way while you're trying to do this, and then you'll get experience and stuff like that. And you work your ways to the lower floor. So that's just the basic concept, a mystery dungeon. And I think it's like one of the only games in terms of like a dungeon-y kind of crawler that I really like. Like I dabble with some other stuff, like, soul hackers and stuff in terms of like dungeon crawlers a little bit though. But I mean, outside of that, I figured out, Mystery Dungeon series was the only one that really kind of vibed off, at least with me personally though. So that's just the basic concept of how the gameplay overall works though. But the main draw for this game was definitely the story, because you get hit hard. Obviously, within the Explorers of Time and Darkness games though, the basic plot point is you have a, Pokemon going around such as Grovyle, which, by the time you see Grovyle's character grow from the start of this game to the end of this game, there's not a lot of, second stage starter Pokemon that stand out in my mind, like a Marshtomp or a Combustion or something like that, or a Charmeleon or a Wartortle or something like that kind of stand out. A lot of people just remember the first stage and the third stage, but this story alone will let you remember Grovyle was not to be trifled with. And it seems like he's an evil antagonist dude at the beginning, because he's stealing these time gears and stuff, and freezing time, crazy concept back then in those early years right there. But literally freezing time by stealing these time gears, so it makes him look like he's a threat. So slowly but surely, as you're helping out these townspeople, you're actually trying to slowly try to put the pieces together to figure out why is Grovyle doing this thing though, and there's a threat. And then you get met with this other Pokemon such as Dusknoir, who seems good at face value, who's hunting for this Grovyle, but he has ulterior motives himself though, and you find out, oh shoot, he's actually the bad guy and Grovyle was actually the good guy and stuff. And I'll leave it at that and let you experience the story if you hadn't already done so though. But one thing I do like about Explorers of Sky is after that whole entire conclusion and stuff, you actually get to go back and experience the backstory with Grovyle and the reason why he did some of that stuff though, because obviously Dialga is basically the one kind of calling the shots, but it's not traditional Dialga, it's a primal Dialga, one that's been kind of messed up due to a whole bunch of different time changes and stuff, and they have a very corrupted future and stuff. So Grovyle was trying to save it and stuff. So man, it's something about that story though. There was a bunch of stakes, and it felt like you were really involved within your exploration in terms of, just trying to go out and help this world, and by extension, try to save this world overall though. Something that, this Between Time, Darkness, and Sky, they did the story, the exploration, the sense of involvement, camaraderie with your different allies and stuff. It was just done beautifully well, to the point where I just knew there's not going to be another Mystery Dungeon game that's as good as these original 3 games though. Yes, I mean, you had the original GBA DS ones with Red and Blue. I think after this you had Gates to Infinity, and then you had Super Mystery Dungeon. My brother had Gates to Infinity though, but even he looked at that game and compared it to these ones, he's like, it ain't the same though. And I just looked at it face value. I said, no, bro, they made some classic with these ones though. I know, yes, they made a remake on the Switch based on the Red and Blue games though, but wake me up whenever they make a remake on Darkness Time or Sky. Like, once they make a remake on those, I will probably buy that on And then when they make a remake of those, yes, I will probably go through and buy a remake on the next Nintendo platform, probably be on Switch 2. Fingers crossed. They did manage to, give us the brand new Pokemon Snap. So if they were able to do that, I mean, you think it ought to be possible for these mystery dungeon games, right? I mean, they did the first red and blue ones too. So come on, Nintendo. I'm saying Nintendo though, is really, come on, the Pokemon company. Like, come on, you gotta make the remakes of the actual good games. You just have to right there, though. I don't know. This was just a very different time and a different era. It was interesting how, as you're going through, usually you'll have your Pokemon evolve and within a traditional Pokemon game. But when in these games, for some reason, you're prevented from evolving until after you beat the main story mode. And I can't remember if you had to beat the post game though too. I feel like you had to before you actually were able to evolve these Pokemon. And obviously, your team wasn't just those two characters that you had yourself and your partner, but you were able to recruit two other Pokemon that you might happen to like beat up randomly in the dungeon. And they say, "Oh, you know what? I'm turned from my bad ways. Can I join your group though?" And you're able to have cool Pokemon like that. So you're able to have a team up to 4, and you're even able to recruit legendaries. Hunting down the legendaries in this game was something else too, and then being able to beat them though. So yeah, there was a lot of replayability just because of the factor alone of how these dungeons operated and worked. And I can't say how many hours I put up in this game though, but regardless to say that yes, I sink countless hours into these Pokemon games though. So Pokemon Company, run this series back. It's been a while, but I mean, remake these games and actually make a good brand new title. I don't know if you're gonna get me back in the series though, but at least at a bare minimum, remake these games though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all that you think about these Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games between Darkness and Sky, the two games I own, or if you happen to own Time. Like, these are some timeless classics, and this was definitely the golden era of Pokemon Company where they were giving us great spin-offs. Like, you had Pokemon Snap, you had Mystery Dungeon, you had Pokemon Ranger. I already did a collection reflection video on Pokemon Ranger, the first one. That was a great game, but the whole entire trilogy was great as well though. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is just equally just as good, but I don't know. The company kind of fell off with their spinoffs. Now they're kind of more associated within like, the mobile spinoffs and stuff like that. And then you have like Unite and stuff, and that's about it. They don't go too much more beyond that though. So let me know overall your experiences and, any kind of other reflections you have for these great, wonderful games. But that's going to basically do it for this video. So if you really like it, make sure you're going to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.